Hey, what's going on, world? You know who it is. It's ZEUS CRUZ of Olympian Multimedia, giving you another segment of Get Things Done. In this particular segment, we're reaching out to individuals who are considering starting a business, transitioning that from a startup to either a LLC or sole proprietorship. We're kind of just going to go over some things as far as deciding what the purpose is for your business, how you're going to go about formatting your business, the overall structure of your business, outlining in detail, in writing, the responsibilities of the client slash customer, and also as you as the service or product provider. So let's get started. I have here a PowerPoint presentation to kind of break down just these different things involving what does it mean to have a startup versus transitioning it to a LLC or sole proprietorship. Some people tend to misconstrue that they're both the same thing, but they're not. So as you see here, we got a business insider turning your idea to reality. So the basic overview is obviously you in the preliminary stages of creating your business is going to be considered a startup. So you need to define as commitment, meaning the overall overview, basically, of what you're trying to accomplish with your business. So, obviously, you're going to need organizational structure, registration, and it's always beneficial to create a website. It may not be as in depth because you may not have so much content in the beginning, but a website is the number one tool or resource needed. It's the number one thing being asked for, especially when you're trying to promote your business. It's pretty much the first thing people ask for. Do you have a website? So you also got to understand scalability when it comes to your business. Are you willing to recruit? Obviously, you're going to need funding, and that comes from creating capital. And then you need to break down in specifics what services you're going to provide and if your business is going to transition itself into a product development business or company where you're actually going to be putting products out there for the market for people to purchase. So, as you go ahead and you create this progress for yourself as you're trying to put the scope together as far as what your business is going to be or your overall business layout, you got to consider structure. So, there's two ways of looking at it when it comes to structure. One is a B2B, which is business to business. What does that mean specifically? Well, your business will be structured for importing and exporting of goods. And then you would in turn create a partnership where services are interchangeable and transition to a final product. So basically, you'll be in partnership with another business in which they are entitled or responsible for certain aspects of maybe specifically a product being made. And then you in turn would be responsible for the other half of the components involved with the product, or you might just be involved with just the marketing side or the promotional side of that product. Either way, that partnership is made with another business. The other type is B2C, which is business to customer, which is a service or product made available by the provider for a protracted rate. And this is very similar to a subscription based format. Obviously, a lot of you guys are out there, have Netflix, Hulu, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Obviously, all this is structured in a subscription in which you pay a monthly allotment. In turn, you get services rendered from that company. As you continue on with your progress, it's all about transition. So there's two main things that you want to accomplish once you get to the point of transitioning your business. Number one would be an investment portfolio of other startups. Once a startup becomes an actual business, or in turn, you be prepared to becoming an LLC or sole proprietorship, once you have more than 30 employees. And your clientele sheet should consist of 75 dedicated customers and or a sustainable product that has reached a large market. So you can have a combination of the two, where you have an actual clientele that is dedicated to your business as far as the services rendered, but also too, you can actually have a product that has reached the mass market and you're becoming profitable, like you're actually turning over a profit. Um, that's the main goal that you want to look for. For your second accomplishment, it will be a brand or a creative brand that equals growth as profit margin increase each fiscal period, making assets more greater than liabilities and overhead costs, allowing for business expansion, distribution, and more employee benefits. So we're going to break down a little bit further what the liabilities are versus your assets in your business. But just to put it in layman's terms, in order to turn over a profit, what are considered as assets should be greater than your liabilities. So whatever's within your budget, it should cover the liabilities that is created each month. And then you would pretty much weigh that versus each fiscal year. Once you go over your calculations to get an understanding of what is needed within your capital, as far as, are we bringing in enough revenue versus what we're spending on our business? If both numbers are the same, then you're not turning over a profit. If you're spending more than what you're bringing in, then obviously you're putting yourself in a hole, and your business is not going to thrive. And then you're going to end up having to shut down your business because you can't keep up with the overhead costs to just operating your business. Things to consider when it comes to formatting your business is cost versus working capital, and also getting a really good understanding of government regulations, also getting an understanding of liability protection and tax implications as well. Um, that's definitely important when you're putting together your business. Um, it's taxes on the business itself versus if you have an actual payroll, you have employees under you, taxes have to be paid off of that as well. These are things that you need to keep in mind. There's other regulations as well that is outlined through the government, through the IRS, that you should be aware of as well when you're putting together your business. And then also consider your type, which we've been kind of highlighting a little bit here and there, is what is a better situation for you as a small business owner? Would it be better for you to be an LLC, or would it be better for you to be a sole proprietor? So that's where we're at right now. LLC or sole proprietorship, how do they differ? Well, LLC is an acronym for limited liability company. Basic formation of it is that it's a legal entity formed at a state level, can have multiple owners with one designated as a operating manager. The basic guidelines as far as the LLC is concerned is that the owners, who are also known as members, are not personally responsible for business debt and liabilities. For the members and the business itself are two distinct entitlements under the law. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when it comes to an LLC. most important thing is that you as the owner, or you could be just the operating manager and you have several owners, or several founders that created the business, understand that you're responsible for yourself, and the business, being a separate entity, is responsible on its own. A sole proprietorship is a unincorporated entity operated by one person. It's entitled to all profits, but the cons to it is that person is also responsible for all liabilities. The neat thing about sole proprietorship, though, is that the business is not taxed. Instead, the owner reports earnings and profit losses in their personal tax return, which might turn out to be a little bit more, especially if being your sole proprietor and you actually have, quote unquote, a day job along with your business. That might, create some type of difficulty for yourselves as far as taxes being paid through your 9 to 5 job and also the business itself. Things to consider. The main thing when it comes to business is what? Capital. You have to create capital, some type of funding to be diversified in your business so that your business can thrive. So capital is calculated through two assessments: current assets, and two, current liabilities. So we mentioned it earlier before, but what are what is considered as assets? Well, obviously cash, revenue stream, residual income that you bring in each and every month, accounts receivable. So if you have a product that you're selling or a service, what kind of money that you're bringing in regarding that. And then obviously your inventory, the different components of your business, um, the different types of equipment that you have are all considered assets that have value. So remember, when it comes to assets for your business, think value. Does it bring any value or hold or sustain any value in itself? Then obviously it's current liability. So what does that consider? Accounts payable, which is payroll. If you have insurance, providing insurance for your employees. If you're providing some form of a 401k plan for your um, employees, that would be considered a liability. Taxes, as we just explained before, the taxes rendered through the business is considered a liability. Obviously, interest will be applied, and then goods obtained at a proactive rate. So, depending on certain businesses, you might be obtaining other services from other businesses in order for your business to operate. Just a quick example when it comes to, obviously, a lot of you guys are aware, obviously, from the beginning segment, I operate Olympian Multimedia, and I have to purchase licensing for different types of software that I use to come up with my media projects. So that would be considered a liability because I'm dependent on someone else to provide something in return, provide something for me in return that I have to make a payment towards. That is considered a liability. And then last but not least, just basic items to remember. Things to consider while operating your business is always remember to stay within the parameters of the budget you set out for your business, especially in the early stages. Um, Once you get a basic outline as far as knowing the purpose of your business, what you're trying to accomplish for your business, it's very vital to set a budget and to stick with it as best as you can. Understanding that over time you're going to create revenue for yourself, but it's vital that you stay within them parameters of the budget so that you don't dig yourself, quote unquote, a hole for yourself that you have to dig yourself out of. To get the understanding that your profit margin will be slim, at least 3 to 5 years minimum after your startup creation. Capital should be broken up into two subgroups: operating and inventory expenses, which would give you better insight on your business as a whole, as well as give you perspective of current operations and future investments. So operating expenses is simply put what is needed to keep your business afloat, to keep your business operational. And then inventory expenses, obviously you're going to need things over time. You're going to need different types of materials, resources, equipment, to keep your business viable. So your capital and your budget should be structured that you can cover these expenses. And at the same time, too, if you have employees underneath of you, that you have that allotment in place to pay them, insurance, and also anything viable from a third party source that you have to pay as well if you're receiving any kind of goods or services from them. You also want to look into investment. That's a big component when it comes to business. You're looking to get angel investors, some type of investment firm. You might even utilize family or friends. Um, it's very important to get a good understanding as far as your finances so that you can better explain that once you're trying to procure an investor. Because that's a big thing when it comes to investors is long term. Is your business going to be profitable? So you have to be honest with yourself as far as when you come up with your calculations and you come up with a layout of your finances, that you be honest enough when you speak to people as far as what specifically are you doing in your business and what you're bringing in as far as revenue. Lastly, create a runway within your budget. So what is that? Runway is operating costs divided by cash available in the bank, and you multiply by 12, 18, or 24 to determine how long you can stay in business. That's definitely something that you should consider as well. Not only having the capital to cover operating and inventory expenses to have an actual budget for your business, but also have money set aside so that if things don't go your way, that you actually have some money procured to the side that can kind of cover what's left that needs to get paid. And then again, you don't put yourself in a hole. The reason why you have to multiply by 12, 18, or 24, because that's based off months. So usually when you go over your finances, you usually want to dictate it based off, can you last for a year? Can you last for a year and a half? Can you last for 2 years? You might even go as further as 3 to 5 years. Um, but anything beyond 2 years is definitely just projections, which are just estimates. Anything can happen within that time period. So you may not want to go so far ahead on that. The best bet is just to do like a year, year and a half to 2 years. Other important things that you should have within your business starting off is if I can bear with me as I try to find what I'm looking for. Here we go. As you can see here, a big component that you should have is called a business plan. This is the number one thing investors look for. It's basically what it says in the title, a basic outline of your mission, what you're trying to accomplish, creating some type of hierarchy within your business as far as positions, roles, if you have several people that makes up your team. Obviously, if you branch out into a corporation, you have what is called a board of directors. That's something totally different. Now you're talking about S corporations and so forth. But just starting out, you should always give a list of who is going to be part of your business and what specifically their role is. You want to break down your services, different types of products that is offered through your business. Maybe give an outline as well. This is not necessary, but it always puts you in a good light of just breaking down future products and services that you're going to have in the future or what you're going to plan on working on. An inventory sheet of basically all the different types of equipment that you're utilizing. What is your methods for networking? What are the responsibilities of each person as far as what their role um, entails? You could even give a breakdown of the different departments or the different facets of your business and how it's being utilized. Very important to have a price guide so people can get an understanding of how much you charge for your services or your product. Probably the most important thing to put into your business plan is called a SWOT analysis. So what does that entail? That entails you outlining in detail what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are as a business, and opportunities, or as far as how are you planning on making your weaknesses into strengths. This is a very important feature within your business outline because it shows honesty on your part, especially when you're trying to procure investors. They need to get an understanding of what you're good at because they also understand that, especially being that you are transitioning from a startup and now you just kind of formulated your business, that you are going to have some weaknesses. You're going to have some flaws. Not everything, not all T's are crossed, not all I's are dotted, excuse me. So the more honest you are as you prepare yourself when you're trying to procure an investor, the more likely they might take a chance on you because you have a true understanding of your business as a whole. Another thing that you should have is a executive summary. As you can see here, it gives you basic contact information, your management team, basic outline of your company resources, what type of financing you're looking for. That is called seed. And there's different levels of seed capital that you can apply for. Basic outline of what kind of revenue that you're generating, how you're going to use the funds, give a basic description of your business. Everything is basic on here. Give a basic background of your business, the management team. It's not usually needed to be in depth. It's just something very, just a very quick outline for investors to look over and just to get a really great or a very quick sense of what your business is about and what specifically that you're looking for. Another thing that you should keep in mind as well, if you are offering services, in, specifically, you should have a business contract in place that gives you an overview and it goes into great detail the terms regarding the contract. As I mentioned before, it should state in clarity the responsibility of the client slash customer and as you as a service provider. There shouldn't be no discrepancies. Everything's outlined within the terms. And then obviously you'll have the signatures at the end of you yourself as the business owner slash service provider and then the client that you're working with. And then last but not least, what you see on the screen here is a statement of work, or an acronym for SO. And this is great for keeping record, really good record keeping within your business as far as what products are being sold or what services are being rendered to the client. With Olympian Multimedia, for example, obviously, as you can see here, I have the projected fields in which will we work in, the different facets of the business. A disclaimer of basically a quick reminder of the terms that was outlined previously. We put on record what's being done, what services are being provided, what is to be delivered, or what's the final product as far as once we put together the project. The client will be given a SO number for their record keeping as well. You outline the pricing as far as an amount for each project being worked on. And then obviously you have at the end the signatures from the client and from the service provider. This is very important as well, to just to outline everything that's being done within the business. So again, there's no discrepancies. The client has a full understanding of what is expected as you as a service provider. And in turn, as a service provider, you have an understanding of what the client wants. If everything's in writing, then once the final product comes out, there shouldn't be any kind of issues, because both sides not only have that understanding, but because they signed the document, they're in agreement to the services provided. So that's it, guys. I hope this was enlightening for you guys. Definitely recommend and definitely encourage ones out there that if you're deciding to make a business, don't be scared. There is a lot to it, but once you take your time and do your research and just getting that understanding within yourself, it could definitely be a beneficial thing for you. But again, that's it. Hope this was enlightening. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You know who it is. It's ZEUS CRUZ of Olympian Multimedia. And I guess the only thing left to say is get things done. Check you guys later.